Brandon Aiyuk certainly has kind of stolen the show, it sounds like, from everybody that's reporting, fans that are there. Again, started out slow. Is he as good as advertised? Like, can this guy be a number one receiver on a team in the NFL? Do you believe that from what you're seeing?
I think he's doing it right now. I think he's been the number one receiver all of camp. Debo hasn't been there. I mean, Kittle's good, but I think Ayuk is obviously better than Kittle at this point in their careers. Like Jimmy Ward said it today. He said Ayuk's the best player in camp other than Bosa. And Jimmy Ward's great. He's so honest. He is so good at playing safety and covering tight ends. He doesn't even do that in one-on-ones. He does. He warms up with the corners and covers wide receivers. And he takes tough matchups. He goes against Ayuk. He says, I haven't beaten him once. I can't beat him. I mean, Ayuk will spin him around. Ayuk is that good of a route runner. And I think like he's shown the ability from a very young age. But to be the best, you have to be an obsessive competitor like Debo. And he hasn't shown it. And I guess you could say that this whole fight with Fred Warner is bringing it out of him. But he's had it consistently the last week. And he's looking like a number one wide receiver. Yeah. I mean, like Travarius Ward can't cover him. Maynard Mosley can't cover him. And even if here's the thing about Ayuk, he's not super fast. So you might be all over him down the field. But all of a sudden, like he jumps up and has these crazy long arms and makes these ridiculously difficult catches way far away from his body. So that's tough too. I mean, he's pretty, even when you got him, you don't got him.
He's tough at the catch point. And listen, I'm certainly not comparing him to these guys because they were elite. But when you look at guys like Steve Smith, who was extremely undersized, he won the 50-50 ball on a regular basis. He made a whole career out of it, being undersized. And Ayuk seems like he can do that, but also he can get open.
Yes.
I mean, wide open sometimes. Like he runs routes where you're like, there's no defender anywhere near him. Jimmy just doesn't throw his way, and it is what it is. Like, I don't know.
He did that today in the one-on-ones in the red zone. He did it to Jimmy Ward. I mean, he could do it. He gets like clean separation off. It's hard to press him. Yeah. He's just he doesn't explode off the line. But if he's in the red zone, he takes his time, he gets a clean release. I mean, he's a really good red zone receiver. Again, when I say he's not super fast, he's not a 4.3 guy. He's probably not even a 4.4 guy. And I don't know that he's necessarily like a deep threat, but in the intermediate levels, deep out, deep in, come back. Yeah. I mean, he's really freaking good. And also, like, he's not as good at slants as Debo. He's not going to break a bunch of tackles, make a bunch of guys miss after the catch, but the route that he ran is better than Debo's. The dig route is better than Debo's. And again, like, if you miss, which Lance isn't exactly pinpoint with his ball placement all the time, I mean, Ayuk is the guy you want to miss with because he can do all the jumping, contorting, all the circus catches. Not that Debo can, it's just Ayuk. No one can do it like Ayuk on this team. No one.
That's what he brings to the table. And ultimately, if he gets as open as he does sometimes in the intermediate levels, he really can be the deep threat just after the catch, right? Because he's so open that it's like, okay, well, now what? I remember the game against Arizona when it was like, I forget what it was. It was like 2nd and 20 or something like that. It was, I think, in the third quarter, and Lance just threw a 50-50 ball to him, and he came down with it and then broke multiple tackles and got a first down. I was like, whoa, that was incredible.
Yeah.
I just feel like Ayuk can make a whole career out of that. Like, that's how he wins.
No doubt. There's what I'm talking about is with his speed was today. The first target to him from Lance was a play action corner route. So picture Ayuk with like a tight split running down the field and breaking off toward the sideline at an angle toward the pylon. That's a deep route. Mm-hmm. And he did have a step on Travarius Ward, a step. And Lance threw it out there and overthrew him. Now you could say that's a bad throw, but a true deep threat, you can't overthrow a true deep threat, right? Like a true deep threat has that extra gear and can get underneath it. Maybe Danny Gray can do that. That's not Ayuk. So that's why I call him. He's not a true deep threat. He will catch deep passes, but he just doesn't have that extra gear with the ball in the air that maybe Debo has, maybe Gray has. Although Debo didn't have it today. Debo doesn't have it right now. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
absolutely. No, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And that's probably why Gray was brought in to be on this team, because they
No doubt.
don't have that.
Exactly. Ryan Starr says Trey Lance effect. Just watch DN on Debo TD run against Dallas. Okay, I will. Thank you for the $2, Ryan. I promise. He gave me a homework assignment, but also gave me $2. I can do that. The Trey Lance effect. I have to go back and watch film. I don't know the play, but I believe you.
Yeah. I think he's basically saying that the defensive end gets stuck. Like, where do I go? Right. It freezes them just enough to make a lot of room for whoever is at the mesh point, whether it's Debo, Mitchell, whoever.
Once the Niners really establish Trey Lance as a running threat, once they get him and Debo and all kind of different actions, it's going to be great. Mark F says, is the connection Lance to Aiyuk? If the connection Lance to Aiyuk is for real, will Kyle call plays to let BA be the wide receiver with the most catches after paying Debo this season? Well, I don't know what Kyle plans, but I do know that from that first Rams game on last year, Aiyuk had more catches and receiving yards than Debo last year. So it's already sort of happened. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think Shanahan cares. Like, I think he's going to do what's best for the team. And the other thing that's interesting about the 49ers is if they have a player that's close to hitting incentives, they usually tend to pay him even though they don't have to. They did it with Sherman a couple years back. They've done it with some other players. So if Debo misses some incentives that he was close to because they decided to force feed Aiyuk down the stretch or whatever that looks like, they're not stingy with their money. Like, that's one thing that they've done a good job of, is taking care of their players in those situations. So, but ultimately he's doing what's best for his team to win. And Aiyuk might be the best pure receiver on this team.
Yeah. Also, like, he and Debo do different things better. Like, if you have an in-breaking route, you probably want Debo running that because that's yak opportunity, and he's the best yak guy in the game. Outbreaking route, where you got to catch the ball near the sideline, I mean, you might want Aiyuk because he's got those long arms, and there's not as much of a yak opportunity. You just got to just get big and win the route and catch. You got to win the route and win at the catch point. He can do that. So it kind of depends what it is. Like a screen, yeah, you want Debo. If you depends,
Yeah.
In the red zone, you want Aiyuk. There's a reason that Debo morphs into a running back in the red. He's not a great red zone. He's probably better than. He probably could be better if he got more opportunities. But you can see what Kyle thinks of him. He's like throwing Jennings.
You're gonna run the ball, bud.
Exactly. Life of Kent, thank you very much. Crisoto 17 says, let's not forget Brandon Aiyuk had all-pro digs on skates. He's really good, dude. He had Javarius Ward on skates today. Hella good. I mean, it's the kind of stuff. Basically, he's a little bit like Crabtree. I used to think he was like Amari Cooper, but Cooper runs a 4.4. He's more like Crabtree. Like, he's like a faster, slightly smaller Crabtree, I think.
He's like if Crabtree and Brandon Lloyd
Crabtree
made a receiver baby.
It'd be and he was super tough. He was strong. Crabtree was hella good. He just had injuries that Aiyuk didn't have. Aiyuk's faster than Crabtree, for sure.
For sure he is.
But Crabtree could put people on skates, and I never understood how he would do it. Because it's like, man, he's jogging. Come on. But he had this like funky pace to his game in one-on-ones. He would get people spinning. It's like, and he didn't even look like he was sweating. It was very impressive. Very impressive.